But the fact that Ryan, has gone through 3 top trainers that would have done a great job, Eddie Reynoso, Joe Goosen, and Derrick James.
Correct.
And he's not training with neither of them. He's training with his dad.
Did Ryan Garcia ever allow those trainers to be the boss?
That's why he's back with his dad, because he's the boss. That's why.
Yeah.
Look, Joe Goosen, I know Joe Goosen. My brother used to train with him. He's not going to just let you get away with stuff like that. Derrick James shouldn't either. Eddie Reynoso doesn't need. He's made so much money with Canelo that if you want to come to me, it's going to be under my rules. And if that didn't work, then Ryan's back. So that's I give that big advantage to Barrios to even pull that off.
See, that's the thing about boxing, and Big Baby Miller pointed it out, because there's no structure. We need some kind of structure. In the NFL, the guy has to sit there for the media interview. He shows up on time. Yep. He's got to do it. Yep. And to give you an NFL analogy, think about the Broncos, right? When they had Russell Wilson over there and he had his own office and everything. And it was nothing. It was dysfunctional. Then they hired Sean Payton.
Cut it out.
As a coach, that's like going to train with Goosen or going to train with a world-class trainer, right? And you knew as soon as Sean Payton got there, ain't no one's going to have their own office. And you turn around a couple years later, and they're great. They're in the playoffs, right? That's the thing in boxing, when fighters want it comfortable, right? Sometimes when Miguel Cotto would want to train in certain places because it was more comfortable for him, I thought, I want to see the Miguel Cotto when it's uncomfortable, right? And Cotto's a great fighter, of course, and a serious person. But the fighter really has a little too much control when they reach a certain level sometimes of their own career, which is good in one way, but in another way can limit them athletically. Because boxing is not a comfort business.
Max Kellerman analyzes the upcoming Ryan Garcia versus Mario Barrios clash, emphasizing that Garcia's undeniable raw talent alone won't secure victory against Barrios without proper discipline, structured approach, and unwavering training commitment.
Do you think it's more of his opponent, where maybe I could get away with training with my dad, compared to if I'm fighting a top dude?
It'd be a big mistake to underestimate him.
Right, and it's like everyone thought he was going to win that fight, and Rolly just outboxed him. Rolly outboxed him and looked good doing it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's crazy. I wish that Ryan, because he's so talented, I wish he would stick to a coach and really just follow the.
Max teams up with Robert Garcia to acknowledge Ryan's exceptional abilities while cautioning that his constant trainer changes create instability that hampers development when facing Barrios' unwavering dedication, as both fighters exchange pre-fight warnings and psychological warfare.
Same thing as everybody says, left hand, make sure that's up, you gotta protect it, blah, blah, blah. That's what I would imagine he's saying. And got to take that away. It's probably, little things like that. They drill a lot of just keeping the hands up all day long. So it's like here, 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 here. But, this freestyle type of boxing, with technique is going to overwhelm this man.
It was a great experience. He's definitely one of a kind. I took a lot from that fight, just being there with somebody with his timing, his skill, his speed. Yeah, just, we're going to use that, in every way, to grow as a fighter.
Your opponent on the 21st, Garcia, hadn't actually won a fight officially since 2023. He's been through a lot of controversies, the scandal with Haney, and then the loss against Rolly Romero. What do you make of all that?
I don't make much of, I have somebody, who's trying to take my title, and I'm looking just to go out there and defend.
So you're looking to put on a big performance, stylistically, what you're going to come with?
Stylistically, I think this is going to be very exciting.
Mario Barrios pledges to systematically dismantle Ryan Garcia's fighting approach, carefully targeting every flaw he's studied and analyzed, remaining absolutely determined to protect his championship belt with fierce resolve.
And
Ryan Garcia dismisses concerns about his trainer's departure, claiming he feels unchanged and maintains laser focus while methodically preparing his strategy against Mario Barrios.
Do you think it's better for you that he's working with a trainer you're familiar with than...
Oh, yeah, in my eyes, But, hey, because I know I've already said some stuff that guy's already told him. But again, like he said, boxing is one-on-one. At the end of the day, he's a free thinker, I'm a free thinker.
Ryan said Joe's not going to stop this fight. It's going to be a physical fight, a bloody fight. You're smiling when you're hearing that. Is that the kind of fight you want?
Not necessarily that it's the fight I want, but it's never a fight that I shy away from. I've gone out of my shield before. Like I said, every time I step in there, I give it, whatever I have that day. And if that's the way like this fight goes, if it ends in a bloody battle, then it does. And I've never shied away from that.
I respect that. I honestly do. I do see that in him. He definitely gives everything he got in that ring, and it's dope to see.
Ryan Garcia's Los Angeles training facility buzzes with activity as cameras capture explosive workout sessions, lightning-fast combination work, precision-focused drilling routines, and deeply concentrated fight preparation.
Lock the top three. Lock the top three. Lock the top 3-2. Yeah. 5-6.
Ryan Garcia unleashes devastating power against heavy bags during grueling training sessions that demonstrate his explosive punching force. Mario Barrios declares his complete defensive readiness, absolutely refusing to allow Ryan Garcia to capture his championship belt while fiercely protecting his hard-earned title and fighting pride.
And I'm looking just to go out there and defend.
So you put on a big performance, stylistically, what you're going to come with?
Garcia, he's explosive, he's dangerous, and but I think on a boxing level, there's no like competing with us. I think I'm the better fighter.
You just said you're the better fighter. Who do you put more on the line with, your title or his credibility?
Wade Plemons examines the southpaw stance's strategic implications, explaining how it fundamentally transforms ring approach and tactical considerations, while praising Ryan's analytical mindset and meticulous opponent study habits before major confrontations. Wade reveals that Ryan has been carefully analyzing Keith Thurman and Abel Ramos footage to develop his Mario Barrios game plan, noting both fighters previously gave Barrios challenging nights, questioning whether Ryan's improvisational boxing philosophy can successfully incorporate lessons from those battles against Barrios, widely recognized as boxing's most lethal finisher.
Obviously, both tough nights for Mario Barrios, but I'm interested to see what Ryan takes away from those fights. What can Ryan and his style, that kind of freestyle boxing he says he does, what can he implement from either of those guys to beat Barrios?
One of the best finishers in boxing. Like, I know you didn't finish Devin Haney, but you had him drown.
I saved him. I should have knocked him. I just didn't have the conditioning.
I think it still bothers you, huh?
Yes, because I should have knocked him out in that 11th, man. I was playing around too much. Yeah. And I was like, ha, like, bro. But next time, that next time, buddy,
there we go again.
You won't have a next time. I'm finishing you. You will never box again if we fight again, and you know that. And I have vowed to that. If we fight again, you will never box again. I promise you that.
Gee, this is what I'm saying, bro. We need this fight. I've said it so many times. We need this fight.
Ryan candidly discusses his Devin Haney encounter, acknowledging that despite scoring knockdowns, poor conditioning prevented him from securing the finish, and admitting he should have stopped Haney in the 11th round, but held back while fighting carelessly. He promises complete focus moving forward, while Wade responds aggressively, threatening that any rematch will end Ryan's career permanently, and emphasizing the massive stakes, calling it potentially America's biggest fight, as both recognize the enormous implications with only 9 days remaining.
When someone's against him, when people think he'll lose, when it's a different challenge to him, even though the Rolly fight was a huge challenge. It was a world title shot, right? But you think back through Ryan's career and the fights where he performs better. Oscar Duarte fight, he thought Oscar De La Hoya and all of Golden Boy was against him. Obviously, the Devin Haney fight, no one thought he'd win. The Luke Campbell fight, Luke was an Olympian, so that was a big deal as well. The Gervonta Davis fight, he just lost. I mean, yes, the weight cut, whatever, but Ryan lost. But the mentality of Ryan, that's the thing that's so all over the place from time to time that you just don't know what Ryan you're going to get. I don't know what Ryan we're going to get in the Mario Barrios fight. He's saying all the right stuff. He's trained hard, right? He's acting like this is the one, but mentally is it, right? Because he kind of said the right stuff. He was a little quieter last time with the Rolly fight, but he said the right stuff, and it's hard to know, dude. It is, because another thing you worry about, I keep looking at this picture of Ryan, and I'm seeing a guy that
Mario Barrios respectfully evaluates Ryan Garcia as an adversary, acknowledging his exceptional hand speed, knockout power, and supreme confidence while recognizing Ryan's recent unpredictable ring performances, including the puzzling Rolly Romero defeat and spectacular Devin Haney triumph, noting surrounding controversies like failed drug tests that may have created mental challenges, though ultimately expressing genuine goodwill toward his opponent.
When you look at Ryan as an opponent, obviously I'll put respect on the speed, the power, the confidence, and all that, but it's been a weird stretch for him in the ring, to be fair. The lifeless loss to Rolly Romero, the spectacular victory over Devin Haney, but obviously the drug test, everything that went on around that mentally, and certainly at the end of the day, we wish Ryan well. How do you sort of gauge where he's at as a fighter entering this fight?
Oh, it's hard to say, really, where exactly, he's at, but, I just had to prepare as if, I have a focused Ryan in front of me, as they're saying, and yeah, just, everything else kind of just is just background noise, with to look at, Ryan's, at his best performances, when he has looked, extraordinary.
When questioned about Ryan's current fighting condition, Barrios acknowledges the difficulty in accurately assessing his opponent's present form, explaining his preparation strategy involves training for Ryan's absolute peak performance and treating every drill as if facing the most dangerous version possible. Barrios dismisses controversies, media speculation, and external distractions as irrelevant background noise that doesn't influence his camp's approach, emphasizing his readiness to face whatever version of Ryan appears, whether at his best requiring championship-level response or performing below standards, which becomes Ryan's responsibility to address through completely professional and strategically disciplined preparation.
One of a kind, he's a character to be around. But no, the move to go be with Joe was going to happen, whether this fight with Ryan was made or not. I was definitely, just after the Pocket fight looking at, what steps I wanted to make, moving forward, to just, continue to just grow as a fighter, to just continue to just, work on, I guess, yeah, just to work on myself and, get back to some of the things that has, that got me this far in the first place. Earlier in my career, I was definitely, a lot more aggressive, I had a much higher punch output, and so my team sat down and were like, why not change the scenery?
Tim Bradley dissects Ryan Garcia's tactical approach against Mario Barrios, concentrating on perfect timing and surgical precision as Ryan seeks to capitalize on Barrios's movement patterns by using sharp jab feints and timing counters when his opponent drops levels or shifts position. Bradley spotlights the devastating 45 punch, a hybrid hook-uppercut combination perfected by Oscar De La Hoya that Ryan has mastered and adapted, considering it an extremely dangerous weapon that Barrios must constantly respect and defend against.
Because Barrios is a counterpuncher and he likes to stay, again, close to mid-range to outside, mid-range to outside. So he's like, a step or two, I would say a step, right in mid-range when he's firing shots. And so sometimes he'll throw those single jabs at mid-range, and he can be countered with the right hand, but we all know that Ryan Garcia, hopefully his right hand is back, operating. If his right hand is operating, he should have a field day, taking advantage of that, mid-range jab coming from Barrios. And he does it a lot, man. He really does. A lot of stuff that he does, he has good form and technique on it, Barrios. But it's just subtle mistakes that he makes. Like just stand near the pocket after he gets done working so guys can attack him after he gets done.
Bradley identifies critical Barrios' weaknesses throughout his professional career, particularly his vulnerability to body punishment that saps stamina and compromises late-fight performance, plus susceptibility to clean right hands and sweeping left hooks despite his own powerful right-hand arsenal. As a natural counterpuncher operating in mid to outside range, Barrios frequently steps forward, throwing single jabs that create openings Ryan could exploit with his fully functional right hand, while Bradley stresses that Ryan's superior timing, blazing speed, and pinpoint accuracy could prove highly effective in this stylistic matchup, noting that despite Barrios' solid fundamentals and technical skills, subtle defensive positioning errors could allow Ryan to establish complete dominance in what ultimately becomes a chess match of timing, skill, and tactical intelligence, with Ryan's polished techniques presenting genuine threats to Barrios' championship reign.
He swells. He swells quickly, man. Yeah, he gets damaged really, really, really easily. You touch him, he starts to bruise up immediately, starts to swell up immediately. So I think Ryan having those heavy hands, I think that can be an issue in the fight as well. Those eyes will start swelling, that nose will start swelling up. I've seen, eyes and nose swell up on Barrios, man. And, he looked like, real bad, the Elephant Man, after fight. So I think that's something that we got to take into consideration as well. I think, again, let's go back to the trainer. I think it's going to favor Barrios, the fact that he knows that his trainer knows Garcia. It is going to favor him. He's going to know, the approach, on how to get to Ryan Garcia. He's seen him in sparring.
Chris Algieri breaks down Ryan Garcia's unique value to boxing, highlighting his massive popularity and genuine star power that separates him from hard-working but less naturally gifted fighters like George Kambosos, who never achieved true stardom, explaining that Ryan attracts attention through natural charisma, exceptional physical attributes, and spectacular fighting style that creates must-see television. Algieri notes Ryan's lack of world championship accomplishments makes direct Kambosos comparisons difficult, since George earned his biggest victories through pure determination and grit, especially his stunning upset over Teofimo Lopez, while questioning whether Ryan's talent and fame-driven path will ever produce the career-defining triumph that Kambosos achieved, though acknowledging that Ryan's drawing power guarantees continued major opportunities and maintains his position as boxing's biggest attraction.
Mentioned it from the onset about being a star. Kambosos was never a star. Kambosos was never that popular, not the way that Ryan Garcia is. So Ryan's here because of that. And yes, he does have some physical gifts and a ton of physical talent, and physical gifts that make him, must-watch TV when he's on. But we haven't seen him on in a long time. And, he hasn't gotten to that position. It's hard to compare him with George because George was the opposite. George was just a hard worker. George always came in shape, but in terms of talent, he was lacking. But he got that big win off of heart and grit, and man, did he cash out on that win, because he made so much money after those fights, got himself into so many opportunities that he never would have gotten if he had lost to Teofimo Lopez and became undisputed. Ryan is still yet to be world champion. These guys are almost like literally polar opposites of each other.
Robert Garcia stresses that while trainers provide guidance and expertise, ultimate fighting success depends entirely on the individual fighter's personal commitment and dedication, explaining that regardless of coaching quality, unresponsive fighters who refuse to listen or work hard cannot benefit from even the most skilled instruction. Garcia observes that highly successful fighters like Ryan Garcia often become their own camp decision-makers, surrounded by staff members acting as enablers rather than honest critics, creating the fighter-as-boss dynamic that complicates technical improvement and discipline development, emphasizing that even elite trainers cannot overcome this problematic structure when fighters resist direction, comparing this situation to Todd Marinovich, the Southern California quarterback whose undeniable talent was undermined by personal pressures and external influences, making the crucial point that a fighter's complete environment, including family relationships, friendship circles, and lifestyle choices, fundamentally impacts ring performance.
Look, every trainer is going to do his best to try to correct that and try to
get Ryan to do it, but at the end, it's gonna be Ryan himself. It's his things going on in his world, his family, his friends, himself with all those personal problems. At the end, there's nothing a trainer could do if the fighter doesn't respond, if the fighter doesn't listen, if the fighter doesn't do it. And most of the times, when fighters are that big, like Ryan is, they're the bosses. They call the shots, and the trainers, everybody around them are just the yes men, and that's a problem. That's a problem, and we can't fix that if with nobody. You could be the best trainer in the world, but if you got a boss, as a fighter, then and you're a yes man, there's nothing you could do. Ain't nobody gonna fix that.
That concludes today's analysis. Keep watching for our next breakdown.